Morning, YouTube. Mojismo Eugene. Uh, I'm just gonna do a video this morning off camera per se. Kind of relaxing. Got my legs elevated. Just woke up. Haven't had coffee yet, but good to be here talking today on this video because what I want to talk to you guys about is the narcissist is a psychological purse snatcher. And anyone who knows people who take stuff by force from innocent, unassuming people, whether it's robbery, purse snatching, bank robbery, you call those people opportunists. They're just waiting for an opportunity to capitalize on either your gains, your weaknesses, your successes, your finances, your property, and in this case, your friends, your job, your personal possessions, whether it be money, cars, jewelry, you name it, anything that's not nailed down, the narcissist wants. And I got thinking about this. They want this stuff. And psychological, these are analogies, of course, because if you look at these analogies and metaphors that I tend to use, it's applicable to what we are dealing with when we talk about a narcissist, because the stark reality is they are opportunists that want what you have, but they don't even want it in a real way. Let me show you what I mean. When they get involved with you, they don't want the relationship like you and I want the relationship. They don't want it for the long haul. It reminds me of a game I used to play when I was a little kid. I was born in 1970. And back then in that era, even at 53, we remember the little things as far as video games. It wasn't that many, but there was one specific one, I think was on Atari game, and it was called, I want to believe it's called Frogger. And they, at some point a few years ago, I think Toys R Us, which a narcissist is a Toys R Us kid, we know that. They don't want to grow up. It was called Frogger. And years later here, decades later, there was this thing called Elite Pad for kids. Now, I thought about that Elite Pad when I thought about the game Frogger. Frogger was a game, if anyone can relate. Back then, it was so simple, but what it was designed to do, I believe, it was more than just a game. It was a game to deal with your timing, coordination, and eye contact. You'd have to anticipate when to jump from one lily pad to another one in order to get to your destination. That is a narcissist in a nutshell. They're not just psychological purse snatchers. They're not just psychological bank robbers. They're not just psychological carjackers. They are froggers or frogs, jumping from one lily pad, you, the empath, chosen one, victims, to another, only in an effort to get where they're trying to go. But guess what? They don't even know where they're trying to go in life. They're on this autonomous autopilot, do what I have to do for the moment, whereas it convenes me. It conveniences me, not convene. Conveniences me. And they want you temporarily. It's like a temporary agency. Temporary agency enlists people to go to jobs, different jobs, to pretty much help the company out because they're desperate to fill a vacuum in that job. Once they catch up on their production, they get everything running, they get their cheddar up, their bread, their money, their loot, their cheddar. They get it up, the nettos. Once they get that up, they only need those temporary employees for that amount of time. Sometime, in some rare cases, they may sign the employee on. Your kid's as good enough, you'll probably end up getting into that job. And that's how it works in America all too often. It's not who you know, it's who you, well, almost said it. It's clear as a bell, as clear as the nose on your face. These things make perfect sense to empaths when we look at it as such. These people are opportunists. They don't have any original idea. They don't have anything of substance to offer. And the reason why that is because from birth, they began to adopt what we all know, and some of us don't know, a false self. Now, these fundamental things are important to remember when you're actually trying to understand what you've gone through. You have to first understand who a narcissist is. And a lot of us, I know you don't want to understand what they are because of what you've been through and the hurt and the pain and the disgust and the betrayal. But you're going to have to come outside of that arena and see this dogfight from the outside looking in. You got to be a spectator in this meat grinder of a situationship you were in. You're going to have to see it from someone else's perspective in order to be able to break down why these people targeted you. It wasn't because you were such a, when you look at yourself and say, all I did for them, they did this to me, they did. Save that for another time, because what you need to be doing is healing. And the best way to heal is to understand what these people are. Then you'll be able to understand what parts you played in their trap. You'll be able to understand. I almost said a Michael Kors purse, but they got purses now, a Birkin's bag. They saw the Birkin's bag and you were coming out of the mall, getting into your car, all happy-go-lucky, like, I got a Birkin bag. So you can display it to all your girlfriends at the dinner party. And you go to the bathroom, you come back, your Birkin bag gone, you ask your friend, where's my bag? Oh, I was talking, I didn't notice anyone took it. Girl, you should have been watching your own bag. That's not my responsibility. You just asked her to watch your bag. And this is analogies. These metaphors and analogies. This is how a narcissist reacts when you call them out on the fact. Why did you do me that way? All I did for you. They'll turn around and make it appear like they've done this, that, and the other for you. You should be grateful that they came into your life to destroy you. That's basically what they're saying. You should be grateful when I came in your life. And you start thinking, what the hell did you do for me besides destroy my peace of mind? Then they'll run guilt trip. Why? Well, you could have loved. Why did you stay with me all this time? Well, you've been with me, blah, 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 blah. And the guy, you ain't gonna find nobody else. You XYZ. Nobody don't want your XYZ self. Nobody don't want you. You never gonna be enough. Look at you. When I met you, you was blah, 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 blah. And you met him, he walking. You picked him up. You gave him a place to stay. You met him at the job, looking the part, like he was put together. And he was put together like a cut and paste doll. Or a photograph. Remember we used to clip out the magazine and put the heads on certain bodies. Cut and paste. This is what they do when they put their personality together, and they also do this when they're looking at you and what they call taking a snapshot of you. Because what they see you as when they first meet you, all through the relationship, that is the only way they see you. I mean, when I say that's the only way they see you, that is the only photograph that they have of you. And when you don't resemble that photograph, that snapshot they've taken in your head, this is real talk. Psychologically speaking, and psychological perspective on this. This is what Sam Vakinin, who I watched religiously when I first came out of this nightmare with this individual. I haven't watched him in a while. But if you can sit still and watch this guy talk to you, he will help you understand how sadistic this disorder is, because he himself is a narcissist. And I'll spell that name again, and I've said it on this YouTube a lot of times. Sam, S-A-M, Vakinin, V-A-K-N-I-N. He's a professor of psychology. He's a professor of economics, finances. He is in the top 5%, I believe, of IQs in the world. Little genius. And you'll find narcissists are very clever. I wouldn't call them geniuses. The things that they've done for the world. We'll take this guy with the electric car company. I won't even go into details about that, but we gotta be careful what we sign on to. I have an electric scooter. It's a trending thing. No fossil fuels, blah, 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 blah. But you have to understand what's on the back end of what a narcissist does. When they seem like they're doing something for the betterment of mankind, you better understand there is a personal agenda. And a lot of times that personal agenda is just having what they want for themselves. When they gain the Birkin bag, when they rob you and hijack you emotionally and psychologically, they don't even want that awesome personality that you have. They want to be around it, but understand this, they can pretend to have a good personality. They don't even like that. That is a shoe that doesn't fit them. It hurts their feet. They are low vibrating individuals. That's almost like you giving a baby whole food. A baby's gonna spit that out. A baby only wants milk. It has to develop, and that's the key word, develop into whole food. They have to build a tolerance for whole food, but you have to be progressional. It has to be progressional. That's the same with the narcissist. When they were children, they didn't progress into adulthood. They didn't achieve ownership of their faults, their wrongs, their shortcomings. It was always medicated with a toy. They were never, ever reprimanded in a real healthy way. They were more or less coddled. They were endorsed or celebrated when they behaved badly. So this is how they became what they are, because they didn't understand the repercussions of, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. They instead found ways to not get caught, found ways to deviate around responsibility. And in doing so, they saw that it worked. And as they went into adulthood, they began to sit and lie in wait for victims, vulnerable people who they saw living normal, healthy lives. And they were like watching a television show. You, the normal, healthy people in the world. And what they did was they went out and reenacted what they saw you do, because they saw that they could achieve these things and obtain and attain these things, whether it was friends, cars, money, job, position, attention. They were able to garner that by the sheer behavior and acting this way. So they put on these masks. They put on these masquerade costumes to go out and do the thing that they saw and observed someone else do in order to achieve what they saw the person achieve verbatim, word for word, play to play. They almost like cloning. They can clone your behavior. They're very good watchers of what you do. They're very keen observers. They're master observers. But guess what? Me as an empath, I am very observant, vigilantly observant. It's innate to the nature of an empath. But God saw that we needed to hone in on the gift. Because just like the narcissist, you have the same advantage they have. They're able to observe you, and now that God gave you the roadmap to understanding how to decode these people, you can observe likewise. But the difference in the empath observing the narcissist and the narcissist observing you, they observe you for all the wrong reasons. You observe them for the right reasons. You observe them because of the despicable deception that you observe within them and without them. You can see on the outside that they are disgusting, stench-ridden corpses in the flesh. They're walking dead men. And I know it sounds mean. I'm not trying to be mean. I am very much trying to be on point. They are deceased walking around. Movie The Walking Dead, there you go. Zombie apocalypse. You have to understand, don't sign on to these movies. Don't endorse these movies, because what the devil is doing is teasing and giving you appetizers of things to come. So when it actually happens, I was watching on TikTok the other night or YouTube this drug, and in California, it's an epidemic. I've seen a couple people here homeless, and what I'm talking about, the drugs that make people, they can fall asleep standing up or bent over, slumped over. Their head is down by their knees, slumped over, and they're standing. Their legs are erect, vertical, but their back is vertical too. They're bending down, sleeping. And this is the zombie apocalypse. Nobody is home when these people are high like that. Nobody is home. Their body has taken a possession by something that's stronger than them. You catch a person in a drug-induced rage, it is similar to a narcissist, minus the drug. And Sam Vaknin, if I can say this before I end, you guys got the gist of this video. Before I end, Sam Vaknin said, and I used to be an alcoholic. I was a real severe alcoholic. But the thing is, it struck me, hit me out of nowhere. And I have to accept this because I understand, looking back, that I've had blackouts and instances where I don't remember things that I've done. And I thought a blackout was when you actually fall asleep and wake up and don't remember. But you actually do things while you're yet awake. And at some point, you go to sleep and you wake up and you don't remember doing it. Something as severe as even murdering somebody and you won't even remember doing it. But Sam Vaknin said, when a drug addict or an alcoholic, in my case, drinks and becomes very aggressive and combative, they are actually very similar to narcissistic rage. At that moment, you are acting and behaving like a narcissist. And it shook me to the core. And that was a moment when I said, man, I didn't miss alcohol before I heard that from him a couple of years ago, I believe, when I was watching him a lot. But it shook me then. And I've had no desire to go back to alcohol in 20 something years by the grace of God. I now know and have experienced what I have heard people say when I was growing up as deliverance. When God delivers you from something, it is to no credit of your own. You were just in a position where your body and your heart was willing to accept that this thing is no more for you. There's no other way to explain the reason why I don't drink anymore. People say, well, you just made your mind up that you didn't want it no more. You saw what it was doing to you. And, you going to jail, going to prison. That is a component of it. Because what I had was an introspective moment. Narcissists can't introspect. They can't see, man, if I keep doing this is what's going to happen. So to their point, that is very true. But there's another component to that. And in my case, in my story, it was God that intervened on my behalf. He rewarded me for that obedience of wanting to just not do that thing anymore. And this sounds like church, and it is, but it ain't the kind of church you go to. This is a man speaking from the heart because I understand the things that I've experienced. This Bible, cut and dry, explains everything that I've lived in my life and everything I'm going to live in my life. If you never understand a narcissist, if you just accept God's word, I don't want to say face value, but if you accept it on the whole premise that this is life-changing, you're in a great space. But if you approach the Bible because of all the detestable things that and experiences you've had from people where they played you and used the Bible to do it, that has to be brought into subjection. You gotta check that. You gotta check yourself on that, because what you experienced was a very deceptive person, and most often that was a narcissist. What we believe are religious narcissists. They were even in the Bible days. They called them Pharisees and Sadducees. So this is nothing new. God said there's nothing new in the sun. Do you know God broke the code in us empath and chosen one? He broke the code when he showed us. Because in the Bible it says somewhere in there, it say there are men that wish they could see what you see. I'm paraphrasing. And if you want to know how true that Bible is, that says a mouthful right there, because I understand that now in 2023. God is actually saying, I've shown you what demonic entity is the Jezebel spirit. I've shown you this while you're yet breathing on this earth, when many people have died and gone to meet their fate. Wish they could have seen what you see. This is nothing short of a miracle from God. That is why you are a chosen one, because God chose you to break that code in. I could go on and on and on about this stuff, man, but I was impressed to make this video about the purse snatching, carjacking, jewelry snatching narcissist, bank robbing narcissist. With that being blessed.